Imagine standing at the very edge of a completely untamed and wild world. You are breathing in the raw air of a planet that is newly broken. There is a burning desire deep inside your ambitious chest to build something monumental. This is the ancient story of two brothers who faced that exact same struggle. Every young man must eventually decide what kind of legacy he will leave behind. Adam and his wife Eve walked out into this vast and terrifying wilderness alone. She conceived and bare a son, saying she had gotten a man from the Lord. They named this very first son Cain, a symbol of their enduring and desperate hope. Cain was born into a reality that demanded absolutely everything from his living soul. He grew up understanding that nothing in this unforgiving world would ever be handed to him. There was no easy path forward, only the brutal reality of daily agonizing existence. Eve then gave birth again, bringing his brother Abel into this fractured and chaotic world. These two brothers were destined to walk entirely different paths under the same sky. Abel found his calling in the quiet and peaceful pastures of the untamed wilderness. He became a keeper of sheep, living a life of gentle and patient stewardship. But Cain was a tiller of the ground, a man defined by his intense labor. Listen to me very closely, because your future depends on understanding this exact truth. Cain chose the hardest possible path, fighting against the thorns and the unyielding soil. He woke up every single morning before the sun even dared to cross the horizon. His hands were covered in deep calluses, marked by the relentless friction of his ambition. He poured his sweat and his blood into the dirt, demanding that it yield life. You know exactly what it feels like to work until your very bones ache. You know the heavy isolation of grinding away while the rest of the world sleeps. Cain romanticized his incredible struggle, believing his sheer effort would force the universe to respect him. He watched his younger brother Abel sitting peacefully with his flock upon the green hills. A quiet seed of resentment began to take root deep within Cain's exhausted heart. Why did his path have to be so filled with endless friction and unbearable pain? Why did Abel seem to glide through life with such effortless and graceful ease? In the process of time, a critical moment of profound spiritual reckoning finally erupted. It came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. He gathered the ultimate results of his brutal labor, the absolute best of his harvest. This was not just food. This was the physical manifestation of his agonizing daily sacrifice. He brought it to the altar, expecting the heavens to violently applaud his immense effort. Abel also came forward, carrying the quiet results of his own humble and faithful work. He brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. Abel did not rely on his own strength, but surrendered the best of his blessings. The smoke from their respective altars began to rise slowly into the ancient sky. This is the moment where every single man's true character is completely exposed to the light. The Lord had respect unto Abel and to his pure, unblemished, and faithful offering. The heavens acknowledged the genuine humility and the right alignment of the younger brother's heart, but unto Cain and to his offering the Lord absolutely did not have respect. This is the very moment that shatters the ego of every ambitious man alive. Imagine pouring your entire soul into a singular purpose, only to be met with total silence. Imagine doing all the grueling work, only to watch someone else receive the ultimate glory. Cain felt a dark and suffocating shadow rapidly descend upon his entire physical being. He was very wroth, and his proud, defiant countenance immediately fell toward the dust. The anger that boiled inside of his veins was hot, toxic, and incredibly dangerous. He felt deeply betrayed by the very God he was desperately trying to impress. His mind began to spiral into a deep abyss of dangerous and chaotic overthinking. He could not comprehend why his monumental struggle was deemed completely unworthy and insufficient. The Lord saw the dangerous storm brewing behind the dark eyes of the firstborn son. The creator of the universe spoke directly into the center of Cain's swirling madness. The Lord asked him directly, "Why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen?" It was a moment of profound grace, an invitation to step back from the edge. God told him, "If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted in my sight." The path to true redemption was still completely open and waiting for his humble steps. But then God delivered a warning that every single man must carve into his heart. "If thou doest not well, sin lieth constantly at the door of your vulnerable mind." Do not ever underestimate the absolute destructive power of your own unchecked internal bitterness. God warned him that the desire of sin was aimed directly at his very soul, and unto thee shall be his desire, but thou must absolutely rule over him. This was the ultimate test of masculine strength, the battle against the enemy within. True power is not found in dominating the earth, but in mastering your own darkness. Cain stood at the ultimate crossroads of his entire life, vibrating with pure, unadulterated rage. He could choose the path of humility, or he could let the monster completely off its leash. He looked over at his brother Abel, whose offering had been accepted with divine favor. The jealousy twisted around Cain's heart like a thick, suffocating vine of pure poison. He could not stand the sight of his brother's innocent and deeply peaceful face. Cain talked with his brother Abel, masking the deadly intent that was boiling inside him. It came to pass when they were isolated, completely alone, out in the wide field. The silence of the wilderness wrapped heavily around the two brothers like a thick blanket. There were no witnesses, no authorities, absolutely nothing but the sky and the cold dirt. This is the exact moment where the tragedy of human history was permanently sealed in blood. Cain gave completely into the darkness, letting the chaotic beast take full and total control. He rose up against his innocent brother Abel, swinging the full weight of his bitterness. In a single moment of blinding rage, Cain violently slew him right there in the field. The very first drop of human blood ever spilled soaked slowly into the thirsty earth. Cain stood over the lifeless body of his own brother, panting heavily in the sudden silence. The adrenaline rushed through his veins, quickly replaced by a profound and absolutely terrifying coldness. He had conquered his rival, but he had entirely lost his own eternal soul. The Lord's voice shattered the heavy silence, echoing through the trees with terrifying authority. The Lord said unto Cain, "Where is Abel thy brother in this desolate place?" Cain stiffened, his pride forcing him to build a completely useless wall of absolute deception. He looked up at the sky and boldly lied to the Creator of all things. He said, "I know not," asking defiantly, "Am I my brother's keeper in this world?" Never try to hide your darkest failures from the universe, because the truth always demands a voice. God pierced straight through the miserable lie, exposing the raw horror of the violent act. The Lord demanded to know exactly what horrible thing Cain had done in the dark. He said, "The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the very ground." The earth itself was screaming for justice, completely unable to stomach the violent transgression. Every action you take leaves an indelible mark on the fabric of the universe itself. God declared a devastating curse upon the ambitious man who had shed innocent human blood. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood. The very soil that Cain had worshipped and bled for was now completely turning against him. God told him that when he tilleth the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto him her strength. His incredible work ethic would no longer produce the monumental results he so desperately craved. He was stripped of his purpose, stripped of his identity as a master of the soil. God decreed that a fugitive and a wandering vagabond shalt thou be in the earth forever. The heavy weight of his eternal punishment suddenly crashed down upon Cain's broad, trembling shoulders. He realized the absolute catastrophic magnitude of what his unchecked emotions had brought upon him. Cain cried out unto the Lord, declaring that his punishment was far greater than he could bear. There is a distinct difference between true repentance and simply fearing the consequences of your actions. He lamented that he was being driven out this day from the face of the earth entirely. He feared that from the face of God he would be permanently and completely hidden. He knew he would be a fugitive and a vulnerable vagabond walking the dangerous earth alone. Cain was terrified that it would come to pass that everyone that findeth him would slay him. He was paralyzed by the exact same violence that he had just unleashed upon the world. But even in the midst of this profound judgment, the Lord showed a sliver of mercy. The Lord said unto him, "Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, absolute vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold." God established a boundary of protection, refusing to let the world completely descend into chaotic bloodshed. And the Lord set a visible, undeniable mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. This mark was a badge of immense shame, but also a shield of divine preservation. Cain turned his back on his ruined home and walked away into the desolate unknown. He went out from the glorious presence of the Lord, carrying his heavy trauma with him. He journeyed far away and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east side of Eden. This was a land of constant wandering, a place perfectly suited for a deeply restless soul. But Cain was a man defined by his ambition, completely unable to just sit still. If he could no longer conquer the earth, he decided he would build upon its surface. Cain knew his wife, and she quickly conceived and bare a son named Enoch. With the birth of his son, a new fiery obsession took hold of his broken mind. He channeled all of his remaining desperate energy into creating a legacy of stone and wood. He builded a massive city and called the name of the city after his son Enoch. When a man loses his spiritual purpose, he will always try to build a physical monument to himself. This city was a defiant fortress against the harsh realities of the cursed and broken earth. It was the very beginning of human civilization, born out of deep trauma and profound exile. The lineage of Cain continued to multiply, passing down the heavy burden of their patriarch's ambition. Unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehujael, and Mehujael begat Methusael. The generations marched forward, building, striving, and desperately trying to find meaning in the dust. And Methusael begat Lamech, a man who would take the darkness of Cain to terrifying new heights. Lamech was a man completely consumed by his own immense pride and his unyielding worldly desires. He took unto himself 2 wives, defying the original design of the ancient and perfect garden. The name of the one wife was Ada, and the name of the other was Zillah. Ada bare a son named Jabal, who became the father of such as dwell in temporary tents. Jabal was the father of all those who have cattle, returning to the pastures of the earth. His brother's name was Jubal, a man who sought to bring beauty into a deeply broken world. Jubal became the father of all such as skillfully handle the delicate harp and the complex organ. Even in the midst of a cursed bloodline, humanity still desperately reached out for art and music. Illa, the other wife, also bare a son whose name was Tubal-Cain, a man of heavy industry. Tubal-Cain became an instructor of every artificer working with the hard metals of brass and iron. The mastery of iron completely changed the trajectory of human history and the nature of global warfare. They forged plows to break the cursed soil, and they forged sharp swords to break human flesh. The sister of this great metalworker, Tubal-Cain, was a woman who was named Nama. Civilization was rapidly advancing, creating incredible wealth, beautiful music, and extremely dangerous, deadly weapons. But the moral decay of Cain's lineage continued to fester deeply beneath the shiny surface. Lamech gathered his 2 wives together to boast of his own immense and terrifying violent power. He said unto his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice and pay very close attention. He demanded that the wives of Lamech hearken unto his speech with absolute and total reverence. He proudly confessed, for I have slain a man to my wounding and a young man to my hurt. Lamech did not hide his terrible violence. He paraded it around like a golden badge of honor. He looked back at the ancient curse of his forefather and wildly multiplied its terrifying meaning. He boldly declared, if Cain shall be avenged 7-fold, truly, Lamech will be avenged 70 and 7-fold. This is the ultimate danger of unchecked masculinity. It transforms a protective shield into a weapon of terror. Lamech glorified his own brutal vengeance, completely losing sight of the Lord's original mercy. The world was rapidly filling with incredible innovation, but also with deep and suffocating moral darkness. It seemed as though the peaceful legacy of the murdered Abel had been completely erased from history. But God always preserves a remnant of hope for those who are willing to seek his face. Adam knew his wife Eve again, returning to each other after the heavy trauma of their devastating loss. She bare another son, a child meant to carry the incredible weight of the future forward. She called his name Seth, understanding the profound and divine purpose behind his newly given life. She declared, for God hath appointed me another seed instead of the righteous Abel, whom Cain slew. No matter how much destruction the enemy causes, God will always raise up a brand new foundation. Seth grew up in the heavy shadow of his older brother's legacy, but he chose a different path. To Seth, to him also there was born a son, continuing the crucial and righteous bloodline. He called the name of his beloved son Enos, a name representing the fragility of mortal men. It was during this specific time that a profound shift finally occurred in the hearts of humanity. Then began men to actively call upon the holy name of the Lord once again. They realized that swords of iron and massive cities of stone could never save their eternal souls. They recognized their own deep frailty and turned their ambitious eyes back up toward the heavens. You are sitting here right now, listening to this ancient story, standing at your own personal crossroads. You have the exact same intense drive and burning ambition that flowed through the veins of Cain. You desperately want to conquer your environment, to build your legacy, and to demand respect from the world. But you must actively choose whether you will let that ambition poison your heart with dark envy. Will you be a man who violently strikes down his brothers just to elevate his own fragile ego? Or will you be a man who humbly offers his absolute best and surrenders the final results? The choice is resting entirely upon your shoulders, and sin is always crouching right at your door. You must master your own internal darkness before it completely and utterly masters you. Take this incredibly powerful lesson, internalize its heavy truth, and apply it to your daily brutal struggles. Let the ancient tragedy of Cain and Abel be the ultimate warning that guides your future actions. Build your life on a foundation of genuine humility rather than a shaky foundation of arrogant pride. If you want to continue forging your mindset with the absolute most powerful stories ever told, if you want to surround yourself with men who are dedicated to walking the narrow and difficult path, then make sure you head directly over to our channel page to experience even more of this exact content.